Let's talk about adventure. What kind of adventures are you restless to pursue? Are these travel adventures, adventures of the intellect and the mind, or spiritual adventures trying to understand how the big picture of life fits together with meaning? This week we have Sagittarius energy happening. You have Sagittarius somewhere in your chart, so we'll talk about what that would be according to your especially rising sign. And we have a full moon in Sagittarius at the end of the week. It's going to be lighting up that part of your chart. So in the all signs breakdown, you'll see how that will be affecting you. Before that, we're going to do a look at the week's energy with the transits between the planets that are going on one by one. Welcome to this video. My name is Fiona of Sun and Moon Calendar. I've been studying astrology for 10 years and I love the way it can help us all understand ourselves. It's helped me so much to understand myself and feel validated for the ways that I am who I am. And I might be different than society, not very mainstream, and different than my family. And that is validated by my chart telling me that this is who I am and it's supposed to be. The same can be for you. And the full moon in Sagittarius will give you a clue about a part of your life where you've got this adventurous spirit, as I said. So more about that later. First of all, a bit of housekeeping. First, in this video, I'm going to go through the transits of the week one by one so you know what kind of energies are coming up and what you need to navigate. Then we'll explore the chart of the full moon and then do an all signs breakdown. I am also bringing in 2 new things this week. Da da da! Getting more technological. So, the first little innovation that I am making, technological innovation, is to bring in a quiz. It's a new feature of YouTube that I can ask a quiz question during the video, which I will do at the end of the transits, the weekly transits. I'll ask a quiz question about the transits, and you can look below the screen and see where you can answer that quiz. So, a chance to interact. And the second innovation I'm going to experiment with. Okay, so I'm going to write a question in the comments, something about Sagittarius, and out of the people who reply to that comment in the comments below, I will choose at random one person. I'll just put the names in the hat and draw somebody out, and I'll let you know in a reply to the comments that you've been chosen and give you my email address. And then you can contact me and let me know the name that you'd like me to use and your date of birth, time of birth, and the place that you were born. And then I can cast your chart, and in a following video I will show your chart but not any of the birth details, and I'll use whatever name you would like me to use, and I will do a 5-minute analysis of your chart, just a quick analysis, but it will help everybody because it's a chance to get to know how the energies that are going on a weekly basis and the full moons and all that affect somebody's actual chart and their life. So it'll be a little bit of interaction between us. I'll get to know some of you a bit better, and that will be really cool. So now on with the video. Okay, it's suddenly warming up now. I live in New Zealand, as many of you know, but this astrology is for the whole world. But it's autumn, late autumn. It's getting colder. I had to wear my jacket, but now the sun is coming through. So I'm warming up. Right, the last video I did, I talked about the new moon in the sign of Taurus, and that new moon was conjunct with Uranus. And I think that's why I'm trying with my videos these new technological innovations. So let's see how it goes. It's an experiment. We are in the lunar month of Taurus, and one of the high points of the lunar month of Taurus is that we have a full moon. We have a full moon in every lunar month. This is the New Zealand calendar showing that lunar month. So here's the grid part here, and over here you can see where that full moon is in the sign of Sagittarius. So we are in the week leading up to that full moon. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Okay. So this week's transits, as I said, this will help you know what kind of energy is coming up so that you know how to navigate it. This week, we start with on Sunday the 24th or Monday the 25th, the Sun sextile Neptune. On Monday or Tuesday, Mars is square Pluto. Tuesday or Wednesday, the Sun is trine to Pluto. Thursday or Friday, Venus is square Saturn. And then on Saturday or Sunday, we have, actually, it's on Sunday for everyone, the full moon in the sign of Sagittarius. This is not as easy a week as last week. There is more stressful energy with the two square aspects there. Okay, let's start with the Sun sextile Neptune. Just to remind you, there will be a quiz question to answer on these transits. So I'll let you know when that's going to come up. All right, on the 25th of May or the 24th, the Sun, our vital expression, our creative force, our soul, how we shine in the world, is sextile to Neptune, the planet of dreaming, visioning, imagination, spirituality, spiritual connection with all that is, everything of the whole universe, and also charity and supporting the underdog or people or situations where there is disadvantage. Neptune has a lot of compassion. Okay, so these are in a sextile aspect that is supportive, though we need to take some action. And I suggest with this time that you do some envisioning, some visualizing of what you would love to create in your future, how you would love to express yourself from the heart. That is the Sun, and the Neptune is visualizing for the future. What did I say there? I said in the calendar, spiritual connection, art, and creativity are supported. So take some action to do something like that. Neptune's also the music, the arts, the painting, wonderful things like that, film, photography. Okay, then we have Mars square Pluto. This is not an easy energy. They are two challenging planets. Mars is a malefic planet. It can be angry, it can be prone to fighting, but it also represents our desire, our energy, and our driving force, our assertiveness, and our desire to take action. Pluto is very strategic. It is also about desire, but we're talking more deep desires. There's a tendency to manipulate and want to control things with Pluto especially, but also Mars. Okay, so these together can be very, very powerfully strategic, but with a square aspect that is challenging. So there could be some stress in the air. There could be people trying to take control of situations, not in a good way, and there could be an argumentative energy. So what I said in the calendar there, it's around for 2 or 3 days, so it's not over in one day. Be aware of anger and a desire to control that could come from you. Self-awareness is good, and it could also come from other people around you. Okay, then we go on to Sun trine to Pluto. That is easier. Okay, so a trine aspect is easy, and again we have the Sun with its vitality and its creative energy, its desire to lead with generosity and benevolence even, and to shine in the world. Trine to Pluto, again, the planet that is very strategic. It's about our deep desires and our underlying shadows and fears. Okay, and a trine aspect is supportive. So this could be powerful for leadership, self expression, and with these being supported by an inner drive. Okay, this will be combining with that square with Mars. So there's a whole lot of energy to get things done, to be strategic, to take charge. Just avoid being over controlling or manipulative, and jealousy and dark feelings could come up at the same time. Only lasts a few days. How to navigate it? One of the ways is to know that it will only last a few days, and perhaps journaling, perhaps some physical action to help you move through any negative feelings that are coming up. And then we have on Thursday or Friday, Venus square to Saturn. This is also challenging. Venus is a benefic planet. She is a sweet connector. She loves for everyone to be in harmonious relationship together, and she also allows us and encourages us to enjoy the beauty and pleasures of life, the physical, sensual comforts of life. In a square with Saturn, some of those desires to relate, connect harmoniously, and to take part in the physical things and the pleasures and comforts of life will be restricted by realism, duty, responsibility. That is a square with Saturn. Saturn is the realist, the pragmatist, okay? Telling us that we have to be an adult. Okay, so there could be a feeling of restriction or a dampening on love and pleasure and comfort on this day. On the upside, a square aspect, while it is tense and stressy, it encourages us to take action. And if there is anything that we need to get more structured in, more organized, and more dutiful or responsible, then, and we do it because Saturn wants us to work, we will feel better afterwards. So this could drive us into some appropriate action. Okay, and then finally on the Saturday or Sunday, we have the full moon in the sign of Sagittarius. Okay, so these are the times on the western parts of North America. It happens extremely early in the morning. So basically, you could say Saturday night, good night for a party. The full moon will be exact very early on Sunday morning in North America, and Sunday morning, in daylight hours, early in 9ish in the morning in London, and in Sydney in the evening, and in New Zealand in the evening. So the lovely full moon in Sagittarius, which is what we're going to talk about shortly. First of all, upcoming events. These things are coming up on the astrological calendar so that you know what's ahead. Venus conjunct Jupiter on the 9th or 10th of June. That is lovely. That is the two benefics coming together in the sign of Jupiter's exaltation, Cancer, and Venus is pretty happy in Cancer as well. So that is a chance for a new start in something that could feel quite blessed and harmonious and with a higher good about it. I'll talk about that more in the next video. On the 14th or 15th of June, a new moon in the sign of Gemini. And then between the 19th and the 21st of June, several big things happen. Chiron moving into Taurus, Uranus square the lunar nodes, and the summer or the winter solstice. So winter solstice for us in the southern hemisphere, and the summer solstice, the highest point of summer for those of you in the northern hemisphere. All right, here is a quiz question. Da, da, da. Which aspect will help us to dream and envision the most this week? So which aspects that we're going to experience this week will help you to dream and vision? Okay, vision your future. A, B, C, or D are up there. So look just below where the video, the screen is, and my face and everything. Look just below and you should see that quiz question where you can answer it. Hope that's interesting for you. Okay, the full moon in Sagittarius, that is what we're going to talk about now. It happens on Sunday, the 31st of May, and it's at 9 degrees and 55 minutes, basically 10 degrees of Sagittarius. And this is what I said about it in the calendar. As many of you know, I make calendars for New Zealand and Australia, not yet for the rest of the world, but maybe one day. Okay, the full moon in Sagittarius, optimistic quests for adventure, wisdom supported by willpower, good planning, And that is because of the moon sextile to Pluto and trine to Saturn. So the overall energy of that full moon will last for 2 or 3 days while the moon looks big and bold and bright in the sky. But the energy of it will also be affecting us over the next 2 weeks and even over the next 6 months until we have a new moon in the sign of Sagittarius at the end of the year. Okay, so the full moon in Sagittarius, we're going to talk about Sagittarius energy. That is being highlighted this week. As I said in the intro, it is adventurous and optimistic and bold and ready to gallop off, just like those joyful horses there, with enthusiasm into the horizon, towards the horizon, and then maybe another horizon in another direction, because Sagittarius likes to go this way and that and explore. Overall, Sagittarius wants to explore and reach the boundaries of things and get to the horizons because it seeks meaning. The higher purpose of Sagittarius is to understand the bigger picture. You know, if Sagittarius could fly like a bird, it would love to, because it wants to understand the bigger picture, get the bird's eye view, and understand how it all interconnects and gives us this whole that gives us our meaning and purpose in life, like a guiding star in life. So, Sagittarius, as well as loving to travel and actually physically or geographically bound off on adventures, also loves to explore higher meaning through philosophy, philosophical discussion, or reading and learning. Through higher learning, like reaching into the heights and the depths of human knowledge, trying to understand how it all interconnects in some ways, but trying to understand what are the extent, what are the horizons of human knowledge. And Sagittarius is also about belief systems, where we explore spirituality, where we seek to systemize, to put into a system spiritual beliefs. So something like following a guru or being part of a religion and following the religious beliefs and practices in that organized system is part of Sagittarius. Okay, so Sagittarius will fall into a different part of your life according to your rising sign. So we'll talk about that in the all signs breakdown and what that means for you. But whatever your rising sign, sun or moon sign, you have Sagittarius somewhere in your chart. So there is somewhere in life, a part of your life where you have this adventurous spirits, where you have the desire to seek the horizons. And also, going along with Sagittarius, it is seen as a lucky sign because it is enthusiastic and optimistic, and luck can come along. It's ruled by Jupiter. I think that's my next slide. Yes, it is. So the ruler of the moon is Jupiter. And Jupiter is the great benefic. It brings blessings and opportunities. It opens doors, and it's expansively optimistic. So that is the ruler of this full moon. Sagittarius is a wonderful sign. The downside of Sagittarius, I gotta mention it, is it can be overly confident at times, a bit bossy at times, um, a little bit righteous at times, a little bit maybe not willing to look at the details as well. Jupiter is so expansive, and Sagittarius is as well. They want the big picture, they don't want to think about the details. But overall, it is a lucky and blessed sign, and you do have it somewhere in your chart. Everybody does. Okay. And another thing that's really helping this full moon is that Jupiter is placed in the sign of its exaltation, Cancer, so it is in a good condition at the time of the full moon, which is lovely. All right. Opposite the full moon, so here we go, a little graphic of the moon, and the moon's in Sagittarius. On the opposite side of the chart is the sun in the sign of Gemini. because a full moon is the time that the sun and the moon are opposite each other in the sky, and the sun is lighting up the full moon, and the full moon is on full display. Okay, so we have this opposition between Sagittarius and Gemini. And with the opposition, it means there's two parts, two sides of our charts that are pulling apart, looking at each other, having a bit of an argument or a standoff, and somehow we need to try to integrate those with any opposition. And a full moon is always at this opposition. Okay, so Sagittarius is all about the big picture, while the sun in Gemini, especially because Mercury is there as well, the ruler of Gemini, is about the details, looking at the small things in life, remembering the details and not getting so carried away with the big picture. Sagittarius is about things that are distant and far away, again, the big picture. And Gemini is about neighborhoods and local community and just traveling around your neighborhood. And it's also about, Sagittarius will be about higher learning, university learning. Gemini will be about the fundamental primary types of learning, like literacy and numeracy, like local schools, primary schools and colleges, secondary schools. Also about local courses and handcrafts. And then Sagittarius is about the adventure, the restlessness of going away. And Gemini is restless as well, but Gemini wants to get busy with daily, ordinary life, talking with the neighbors, going round and about the neighborhood, doing this, doing that, like a bee traveling around all the flowers in the garden. Sagittarius is like, I don't know, a bird that wants to fly off, like the seagull wanting to fly up way high and go far away over the horizon. So those are the opposites with those two. And just to mention a bit of astrological theory, Sagittarius is a fire sign with energy, enthusiasm, spark, the desire to start new things, to go on quests. Gemini is an air sign. It's about thinking and talking, communication and logic. And both of these, both Gemini and Sagittarius, are connected by the fact that they have mutable energies. So they both love to explore. Just one likes to explore distantly and one likes it locally. And they both love to try different things. They're both restless and very, very curious, which is really cool. Okay, so now we'll have a look at the chart of the full moon. So this full moon in Sagittarius, of course, it doesn't just come as only the full moon energy, because the other planets are doing their things as well, and some of them are connecting to the moon. But most of all, the full moon is about that opposition between the sun and the moon. And you can see the moon there, 9 degrees 55 of Sagittarius, and the sun there, 9 degrees 55 of Gemini, opposite. That's that big red line, the opposition. Okay. And there's the moon's ruler, Jupiter, at 23 degrees of Cancer. And you can see Venus there, coming up to meet Jupiter for a lovely conjunction soon. That's not so much to do with the full moon, but it's coming and it's nice. Okay. So this full moon, something that's nice about it is square to Saturn and, not square, it's trine to Saturn and Neptune. A trine is a supportive aspect. Saturn is encouraging us with the full moon to go on those adventures, to be optimistic, expansive, and to seek the distant horizons, to start something new that is expansive, but with realism and a sense of responsibility and a willingness to work hard and patiently. So that is a supportive aspect. It means that anything that we start or any adventures that we initiate, or even any adventures that are coming to a culmination, because a full moon is a culmination point, that we are realistic and grounded about it. And because Neptune is nearby as well, these two, Saturn and Neptune, had their conjunction in late February, and it was a brand new start for 36 years for the whole world and for some aspect of your life in the Aries part of your chart. And you can go back to my videos because I go on about it at length in those. It was a big deal. And a 36-year long journey where there's idealism and pragmatism as well. And this full moon is right between these two, which is really cool. I think it's triggering something to do with that journey. So it could be that you've been making some really tentative new beginnings on that journey, and this full moon is some completion point with that. Okay. I'm actually going to use the example of my partner. So my partner has left the country. He's gone back to his homeland in Canada, and he needs some time with his mum because, she's becoming older. And he wants to start a new life. He's actually left behind his job here. And I'm thinking, he's gone, oops, sorry, go back a bit. He's gone over there, and this new story for him is unfolding of what is he going to do, and he's not sure yet, and he's trying to work it out, and he's there now. He's been there for a week, and he's settled in, but he needs to know what his next steps are, and that's hard to work out. And I'm wondering if around about the time of the full moon that he'll actually have made it to whatever these first steps are on his journey. And one of them might be buying a vehicle, because he does need a car or something to get himself around and about and be able to make the most of life there. So just on a personal note, as a side, I am not happy about my partner going away, so that's a little bit of a difficult time for me, but we're in touch every day, so it's all good. Okay, so that is one of the aspects of the full moon, is that support of steadiness and groundedness from Saturn, and also the support of the ability to envision the idealism and the dreams that Neptune can bring. Okay, and also this full moon is sextile, so that is the 60-degree angle, and that line shows it with Pluto. So this can be bringing in a supportive aspect again, deep power, deep understanding about the shadow side of life, and also because it's in Aquarius, the use of technology. Okay, so that is supportive as well. And there are some other aspects going on that are less exact. I'll just mention them. I won't go into them too much. The moon is trine to the north node. There's a north node there. Oh, is it trine? It's square. Oops. It's actually square. Ignore where I said trine. It's square. So that could be bringing us, making us feel a bit tense, but wanting to work towards some aspect of our soul's growth. And the moon is opposite Uranus. That is adding to the restlessness and the desire for innovation. And Venus square Saturn, as I mentioned in the weekly transits, Venus square Saturn, that could be bringing a bit of seriousness along when it comes to relationships and the comforts of life. And you'll have to excuse me, I've gone from needing a jacket to down to a t-shirt. All right, so this full moon, because of that aspect to Saturn and Neptune, it is activating the mini grand trine, that this is rare and potent aspect, very strong this year, but also last year and next year, of this flowing ease between Neptune and Saturn, Uranus and Pluto, all the outer planets, which is such, it's not been in thousands of years since we've seen these sextiles and these trines, and also Neptune and Saturn conjuncting at 0 degrees of Aries. So all of this is part of some bigger, epic, I don't know, moment in history. And no wonder we're seeing so much change in the world right now, and so much reorganization of the structures that we thought would maybe go on forever. So, in the sign by sign breakdown, we'll talk about Sagittarius and Gemini and where they fall in your chart and what that means for that part of your life. But mostly, we'll be looking at the full moon and talking about this culmination point or this peak moment where some kind of adventure has reached a peak moment or a full point, and maybe the beginning of the end of that part of the adventure or that adventure in itself. So, here are the questions for you to contemplate. What adventure has been taking place in your life? What have you been developing in the way of something adventurous and quest like and the expansion of your horizons? And what big picture understanding or development have you been seeking? And can you bring this together with Gemini, with its local connections, its fundamental skills, its chat, its talking about ordinary daily life things, and technology like gadgets and social media communications? Okay, so let's get into it, starting with Sagittarius. If you are Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, you have Sagittarius as your first house, or your sun sign, or your moon sign. It means that all of your personality, your character in the world, or how you express yourself in the world, or if it's your moon, how you respond to things in the world, you have got an adventurous spirit. You love to bound off on new quests and adventures and to go exploring, whether that is these explorations of the mind or geographical travel. It's likely to be both, Sagittarius. You probably love doing both of those, and this could be spiritual adventures or philosophical questions about the larger meaning of life. So, what adventure has been taking place that has reached some kind of culmination point in your life, or some aspect just of you, your identity in the world, how you express yourself in the world, how the world sees you? The spotlight is on you, Sagittarius, with this full moon. Okay, and it could mean that the spotlight is shining towards you from the Gemini part of your sky. So that is your house of other. It's a house of relationships of a one-to-one nature. So this could be from a partner, a business partner, or a life partner, or somebody that you work in partnership in some way, whether this is in a client therapist relationship or any kind of professional relationship or friendship where you're doing things on a one-to-one basis. The other person might be reminding you about the details, might be reminding you to keep things grounded in the neighborhood. And Saturn from the house of Aries, which will be your fifth house of fun and romance and children and playfulness, Saturn is in there being serious and realistic. So mostly this is about the fullest expression of adventure and those quests, a noble quest even to understand the meaning of life and the philosophy of life. And then Saturn will be reminding you to stay grounded with that, to be practical, realistic, and willing to be patient and work hard at things. And if your ascendant point or your sun or moon or any other planets are right at that 10-degree point, that will be especially lighting up that energy in your chart and really making it a bigger deal, that full moon. Okay. Sometimes full moons can make us more emotional and maybe get a little bit more bigger and larger than life than we need to be. And Sagittarius, you're prone to this. So it could be really cool. It could be like just this lovely celebratory energy, but the Saturn will help us to stay a little more grounded with it. So all the best, Sagittarius, with that full moon. You're like this anyway. You love this energy of exploration and adventure and travel and distance and expansiveness. So you're a lucky sign, Sagittarius, and I wish you all the best for the full moon. If you are Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Capricorn Rising, this full moon in the sign of Sagittarius is in your 12th house. And actually, Capricorn, you have Sagittarius in your 12th house. The houses a house of where you are kind of hidden from the world, separate from things. It's where you escape from normal reality and your normal life, and people don't always see you in that place of the 12th house. So it's a retreat area. And it can also be where you can't even see yourself in some ways. So, where you're escaping and taking part in escapist practices. And it could even be patterns of behavior that come from past lives or from deep, deep, deep in your childhood's shadow work, and they could express these patterns, or these beliefs could express themselves in your life now, but you're not always aware of it. You can't always see it. Okay, so it's a bit of a mystery house, and it's not always an easy house, but you do have Sagittarius there, and that might mean that all of your life, because you have Sagittarius in the 12th house, you're you're quite adventurous when it comes to exploring spirituality, or exploring parts of yourself that are hidden, or even you're willing maybe more to be a bit more adventurous when it comes to escapism. So that could be like, instead of escaping into a book or just watching Netflix or scrolling or something to escape, you might prefer to head for the hills and just go off on a quiet adventure by yourself, things like that. Or you might be a little more expansive with your spiritual leanings as well. And with this full moon, which happens once a year in your 12th house, that is lighting up your 12th house. And it could be that you realize something about the ways that you escape, because the full moon can actually light up something that was hidden in plain sight. You might realize something that you have been indulging in, some escapist practices that are not that good for you, perhaps, and you realize that and you can correct that course. It might be that you decide to go on some kind of slightly adventurous retreat, something you maybe have never done before, and it helps you to understand more about yourself, because you're taking that time to explore these hidden aspects, these deeper underlying aspects of yourself. Can also be about distant lands, but also places that are hidden from your normal life, like if you've got any connections with prisons, hospitals, retreat areas, places that are out of the way of normal society, hospices, care homes, places like that. So, some culmination point in any of your connections with those as well. Next month, you're going to have a full moon in your sign Capricorn, and you will be all lit up. And this is a bit of a quiet time as you prepare for that. Just to say, something about that full moon might, that that 12th house, your kind of secret house, is lit up, but the spotlight might be coming from your 6th house, where the sun is in Gemini, and that is all about your daily work and your daily routines for your health and exercise, are very practical in the normal world house. And perhaps something comes up with your daily routines and what you eat, maybe, and your exercise, that makes you realize you've got some patterns that are a problem, or that need to be looked at, to do with how you escape. And so you can understand more about yourself because of this. So all the best for that, Capricorn, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Aquarius sun, moon, or rising, but especially Aquarius rising, the full moon in the sign of Sagittarius is a culmination point, a peak moment in some kind of adventure that you have been developing, or a stage in an adventure that you've been developing in your 11th house of your rewards from work, your long-term goals, and your connections with groups of people. So, Aquarius, you have Sagittarius in your 11th house. That is for your whole life, especially Aquarius rising. Okay, so when it comes to groups of people and connections with organizations and networks, you are adventurous. That is you, that is part of you. When it comes to your long term goals, you have a sense of adventure and a quest for higher meaning with your long term goals and with those group connections, and also with your rewards from work. You don't want your work to just be about the pay packet. You want it to have a higher meaning, and you want to have some adventure, some kind of adventure, and maybe higher learning from your work, from your career. Okay, so what kind of adventure has been developing in this 11th house of your friendship groups, of your long term goals, of your rewards from your work? What is some big picture understanding? The full moon might reveal something about that, because the light of the moon can help us to see things that were hidden. And it also might bring some kind of culmination point with this adventure, a peak moment. Perhaps you set off on a travel opportunity with a group of friends. Perhaps you just book your tickets for a travel opportunity with a group of friends. Perhaps you have make some steps towards a long-term goal, and there's a feeling of celebration and satisfaction with that. So the full moon is in your 11th house. That is lit up. It's in the spotlight, and that spotlight might be being shone from across the chart from your 5th house, and that is where Gemini is. Okay, so Gemini is your 5th house. Your modern ruler, Uranus, is going through Gemini. The 5th house is about your romantic relationships, children, and about your fun and play and your hobbies and your playful enjoyment of life. So there could be something in one of those areas that helps you see something about your long-term goals, or how you want to adjust your long-term goals, or your friendship groups. Okay, so something from those local connections and your fundamental skills in your Gemini house that shines across your 5th house, actually romance and children, that shines across and helps you see more about your long-term goals and your friendships. Okay, so all the best for that, Aquarius, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Pisces, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Pisces rising, and I am one of you, Pisces, we have a full moon in Sagittarius, our 10th house of career. It is lighting up our career house. We might be more on show for something that we have been working on it in our career. There might be a peak moment where people see what we've been doing, and it is celebrated or acknowledged. The other day, I got together my different music groups at a school I work at, and managed to get them all together at lunchtime. I couldn't believe they actually showed up. It was their lunchtime, and I managed to get the marimbas players, the keyboard players, and the guitar, ukulele players, and the singers all together, and we were doing a song that I'd been working on with them separately. It all came together. It was like a peak moment. This is the sort of thing that could happen with the full moon. You manage to get to this point where it all comes together. All right. But it could be also a celebration, promotion, something in your career where you are recognized for the good work that you're doing. So, what kind of adventure in your career has been taken place? I will mention, Pisces, that Sagittarius is your career house for your whole life. Okay, Sagittarius, in your whole sign house system, Sagittarius rules that 10th house of career. So, all of your life, Pisces, you are seeking the bigger picture in your career. You don't want things to be meaningless. You don't want just the pay packet. You want your career and your legacy, what you're working on, to have a higher meaning. And also, you do have a restless energy. You don't want to do just one job, one career all your life. Probably you're like me and you've changed your career a lot of times for various reasons. Okay, because we like to explore, we're adventurous, and we seek expansion in our careers. Okay. At the time of the full moon, the spotlight might be shining across from our 4th house. Okay, that's Gemini, where we have local connections, where we love learning and chat and gadgets and communication. Something from our home life, our 4th house of our home and family, our place of living, might shine the light on that 10th house. In my case, I think it could be something to do with the teaching, because I teach in schools. That's very Gemini, but maybe it's something actually from my home. So it is about the fourth house of the home. So anyway, Pisces, enjoy that. We only have one full moon in our career house per year, and after that, the moon moves along. So I hope that it's a great one for you with something where you are recognized and the work that you're doing is lit up. So please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Aries, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Aries rising, the full moon in the sign of Sagittarius is happening in your ninth house. So, Aries, all of your life you have Sagittarius in your ninth house, and that means that when it comes to your philosophy of life and your belief systems and your desire for adventure and travel, you are adventurous and an explorer, and you seek expansiveness. You seek to understand the big picture. So, that aspect of yourself is lit up by the full moon. And it might mean that there's a culmination point with travel plans, a culmination point with your philosophy of life or your spirituality, where you've reached a point where you have more understanding of the meaning of life, or perhaps you discover some kind of spiritual belief systems, like a new form of spirituality, or a new philosopher that you could follow on podcasts or whatever, and you really admire this person and they help you see things in a different way. So, some kind of mind adventure like that. And altogether, it's about seeking that bigger picture understanding. Okay. And at the same time, that full moon is being lit up by a spotlight shining across from Gemini, which is your third house, and that's about your local connections, your neighborhoods, your local learning. So, more like the basic skills of learning, including, like I mentioned before, literacy and numeracy, but also hand skills and using tools and gadgets and things like that. So, something in that very detailed, ordinary life area is shining a light across and helping you understand more about the big picture philosophy of life, or just some big adventurous travel plans. Okay, so all the best for that, Aries, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Taurus, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Taurus rising, well, Taurus, you are a steady person and you like to have consistency and routine in your life. But when it comes to your eighth house of shared resources with your partner, or with your explorations of your deep inner shadow work and psychology, you are an adventurous spirit because you have Sagittarius in your eighth house, and that is about these things, your psychology, your deeper layers of yourself, but also about your partner's money. So, shared resources with a business partner or a life partner, but also about large amounts of money like investments, taxes, inheritances, retirement savings, and things like that. You're a little more adventurous with these things because Sagittarius is there in your eighth house. And at the time of the full moon, that eighth house of yours is being lit up. Things could be revealed that you were not aware of before by the light of the moon, and there could be some kind of culmination point with an investment or with some kind of understanding of your deep self through doing, because that understanding of your deep self can also be connected with following or working on occult practices like tarot or using runes or even astrology in some ways. You're looking at the deeper underlying energies of things, and perhaps some kind of realization happens. This is a deep house. It's a deep and kind of hidden house. It's things that are not obvious on the surface. Or there could be some kind of realization or a culmination moment with shared resources with a partner. Perhaps you make a decision to bring your resources together, or perhaps there's some breakthrough for your partner in terms of their savings, or perhaps you've been separating your resources and you come to an end point with that. These are some examples. At the same time, your second house has the sun in it. That is Gemini, and Gemini is about local connections and fundamental skills like literacy and numeracy and handcrafts and chat and technology and gadgets. And that is all in your second house of your earnings, your income, your money, your possessions and finances, and your sense of self-worth. So some kind of light is being shone across from the sun there in your second house of your money across to the house of your partner's money, or from the house of your sense of self-worth that shines across to the house of where you're looking at your underlying shadow work. Okay, so what will be lit up? Or what is the culmination point of this full moon? So I wish you all the best for it, Taurus. With the next full moon, it's going to be in your ninth house of actually your house of travel and adventure and life philosophy, and that might be a brighter, more celebratory full moon. But this one is a good one as well, and I wish you all the best for it. And please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Gemini, sun, moon, or rising, well, especially rising, I should say, Gemini, the full moon in Sagittarius on Sunday, the 31st of May, is lighting up your seventh house of your partnership. Whether this is a life partner, an intimate partner, or a business partner, or somebody that you spend a lot of time with on a one-to-one basis, or indeed it could be where you have regular one-to-one connections with people, perhaps with clients that you work with, some kind of adventure has been taking place that reaches a culmination moment, some kind of quest that you've been on that reaches a peak point. And there could have been some kind of seeking of higher meaning or big picture understanding. And perhaps that is revealed with the full moon. Okay, so what are you learning to understand about your partner or your partners, or the way that you do partnership or take part in partnership? Excuse me, I will put it on no, do not disturb. I will just pause. So all of your life, Gemini, you in partnership have this, either you have partners who are adventurous and or they're into higher learning like university learning, or they seek to understand the meaning of life, or they love to travel. That is the nature of partnership for you, like right through your life, Gemini. And this full moon is lighting that up for you. My brother-in-law is a Gemini rising, and my sister, who he married, is Sagittarius, and she works in university, and she loves learning and expanding those horizons of her understanding. And that is what my brother-in-law will always have with partnership, because he's a Gemini rising like you, okay, or a Gemini sun, less so. And the Gemini moon is about how you respond to the world and react to things and how you feel about things, but especially Gemini rising this applies to. So you are looking across at your partner with their full moon lighting it up. And so it's you with the sun. You've got the sun at the moment, so you're lit up by the sun. And you are all about local connections and neighborhood and chatting and talking. I bet you're good at talking. My brother-in-law is great at chat. He can make anyone feel comfortable when he talks to them, okay? Because he's got that Gemini power. Something about you, you're the one that's shining the light across at this full moon. So there might be something that you say or do that instigates something for your partner, whether that's, like I said, business partner or clients or a life partner. So observe what happens there. And I wish you all the best for that, Gemini. And please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Cancer, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Cancer rising, the full moon in the sign of Sagittarius is lighting up your sixth house of how you give service in the world, your daily work, and that is practical service in the world, and how you organize your routines in your home and in your life, like your routines for health and exercise and life admin. Okay, so all of your life, Cancer, Your chart is set up, if you're Cancer rising, your chart is set up so that you have Sagittarius in your 6th house. So you have a sense of adventure when it comes to your daily routines and a sense of adventure when it comes to your work. And in all of these, both of these, you seek to find higher meaning. You don't want things to be just really mundane and meaningless. You want there to be a higher meaning or purpose about it. That is the Sagittarius energy. And you probably are quite curious and you want to try out different ways of doing things, and you're always seeking horizons somehow. The 6th house is a very ordinary daily life house, but somehow you want to make it not ordinary because you've got Sagittarius there. Sagittarius wants things to be adventurous and fresh and exciting. So in your ordinary life, you seek that. And right now, well, on Sunday, the 31st of May, there is a full moon there, and that is really lighting up your 6th house of that daily work and your routines and how you give practical service to the world through your work or through volunteer work. That's practical service. So, what big adventure has been taking place in that 6th house? And what big picture understanding have you been seeking? At the time of the full moon, you might reach a culmination point with that. Something might be revealed by the light of the moon that you weren't aware of before that helps your bigger picture understanding. And at the same time, it's your 12th house. The sun is going through Gemini at the moment, and that is encouraging everyone to have more local connections, to be developing their fundamental learning skills and their talk and the use of gadgets and technology. But for you, Cancer, that is your 12th house of how you are hidden from the world, your escapism from the world, perhaps your connections with distant places, and perhaps your patterns of behavior and beliefs that undo you, that are not good for you in some ways, that can come from a karmic past that is difficult to overcome. Something about your 12th house, some psychological issues, perhaps escapism, addictions even, or perhaps even connections with out of the way places, not necessarily negative, but hidden from the world, like care homes or hospitals or hospices or prisons even. That area is lit up, and so something could come out of any of those areas that lights up your 6th house of your daily routines and your service and your tasks and your daily work, and helps you understand something about it. So look out for that, and whatever it is, I hope that there's some really useful help for you in that very practical 6th house so that you can make the running of your life even better and more interesting and satisfying. So all the best for that, Cancer, and please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Leo, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Leo Rising, the full moon in Sagittarius is happening in your 5th house. So Leo, all of your life you have Sagittarius in your 5th house, and that means when it comes to your dating world, your romantic life, and when it comes to your children and the children that you have made and your play and your hobbies, you are adventurous and you want to seek higher meaning, and you also reach for distant horizons in any of those areas. Perhaps when you date people, they could be from other cultures. Perhaps when you do pursue hobbies and that, you are really seeking higher learning and you do that for fun. Okay, so what kind of adventure has been taking place in that 5th house of your romantic life, your children, and your hobbies and your creative pursuits? Okay, what big picture understanding have you been seeking and has been developing? There could be a culmination point at the time of the full moon. And at the same time, the sun is in Gemini, and for you, Leo, Gemini is your 11th house of your connections with friendship groups or groups of people or networks of people. And Also long-term goals. And there could be something from that 11th house that the sun is there. So it's all lit up. It's really shining at the moment. Mercury is there as well. And Uranus is newly there. So it's innovation and new things happening for your long-term goals and your networks and friendships. Okay, something from there is lighting up this fifth house of your romantic life and your life with your children. Perhaps some new technology helps you with your parenting, like, for example, parental controls on screen time. Perhaps some kind of new group brings you to meet a new, potentially romantic partner, somebody that you could be dating. And perhaps there's some understanding about your long term goals that makes you change something about, or adjust something, or put renewed focus on one of your hobbies or creative pursuits. Yeah, so pretty interesting. So enjoy all of that, Leo, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Virgo Rising, on Sunday, the 31st of May, we have a full moon in Sagittarius, and that is your fourth house, Virgo. It is a mutable sign just like you, so it loves exploring, and you love tinkering and exploring. All of your life, you have Sagittarius in your fourth house if you are a Virgo rising. And that means while you like ordinary life, Virgo, you like things to be in order, and that you're happy with routines and systems if they're well organized and they make life orderly and work well. But in your fourth house of your home and your family, you've got more of a restless sense of adventure as it happens, okay? So you like to seek higher meaning, perhaps, about the way that you run your home or properties that you own, or perhaps it's a travel desire. Perhaps you like to live with, like your flatmates, you like them to be people from other countries, or it just happens that they end up being people from other countries. These could be examples of how this home life could have this sense of adventure. Perhaps when you're at home, you spend time philosophizing by talking and discussions of philosophy about the meaning of life, or perhaps you read on this topic or you listen to podcasts about it in your home, or perhaps this is about your spiritual practice in your home. Whatever it is, it's about seeking higher meaning and being willing to go in different directions to explore and understand the bigger picture when it comes to your home life, or also your family of origin. And it could be that many members of your family of origin live overseas. It could be something like that. But what adventure has been taking place that could reach a culmination point with the full moon? What big picture understanding perhaps could be developing with this full moon, or could have developed? All right. The moon is lighting up this area, so there's extra focus on your home and your family of origin. And at the same time, the sun is in your 10th house of career. The sun is in your 10th house of career. Mercury, your ruler, is in your 10th house of your career and your reputation. And Uranus is newly in there, shaking you up and bringing innovation and disruption to your career house. Something from your career is shining across, because the sun is shining across to your home and your family and lighting up something about your home or your house or your place of living, the people you live with, or your original family, and lighting something up there. So take note of what that is, Virgo, and enjoy that mutable energy that's high in the air at the moment, just like you. It loves to explore and learn and tinker and improve things. So all the best for that, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Libra Rising, on Sunday, the 31st of May, there is a full moon in Sagittarius. That is your third house, Libra, and all of your life. If you are Libra Rising, you have Sagittarius as your third house. And that means that in this third house of Sagittarius, the third house is about your neighborhoods, your local community, your connections with local people. You're traveling around the neighborhoods, and it's about also like trying to seek understanding of the higher meaning of life, whether that's through spiritual practices or belief systems or philosophy. And it's kind of the opposite, because all of that is really big picture stuff. But the third house is very much about the local and the ordinary and the daily life. So I see it that Libra, you love to, or you seek to, in your local life and your daily life and your connections with community and neighborhood, you seek higher meaning in that. Like you want there to be meaning. You don't want it to be all ordinary and mundane. You want it to be imbued with a sense of adventure, exploratory, and perhaps you have a lot of connections with people from other cultures as well, that's travelers who come to your neighborhood, or immigrants in your neighborhood from far off lands. Okay, so what adventure has been taking place in your neighborhood, and what big picture understanding has been developing? Because with the full moon in Sagittarius, your third house, there could be a culmination point with this. Okay, a peak moment or the beginning of an ending. Something reaches a peak, and then after the full moon, it will start to recede or come to an end. Okay, and at the same time, the sun is going through Gemini, your ninth house of travel and distant places and foreign lands and philosophy and higher learning. And the sun is shining across, along with Uranus and its disruptive innovation, and Mercury shining across. So it's shining a light on this local neighborhood area. So it could be that something comes from a far off country, or from some philosophy podcast that you listen to, or from a wise guru person that gives you some advice that helps you develop some kind of more meaning or a sense of adventure or an exploratory energy with your local community and neighborhood. And I will add to that, the third house, as well as local community and neighborhood, is also about local schools and local learning and courses. It's also about handcrafts and developing your hand skills. And it's also about small business and trade and exchange, local markets, buying and selling things. So all the best for that, Libra, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Scorpio rising, okay, on Sunday, the 31st of May, there is a full moon in Sagittarius. That is your second house of your money, your possessions, your income, the things that you own, your stores and resources, and on a deeper level, your sense of self-value, of self-worth, okay? So Scorpio, all of your life you have Sagittarius in the second house, and that means that when it comes to your money and your income, you do have a sense of adventure. You do seek distant horizons, and you will like things to be meaningful, like there to be a higher meaning or purpose about how you gain your money or your income, and about the possessions that you own, and an expansiveness about that. So it might be that you like to collect things, because it can be collections from far off countries, for example. Okay, so there's some kind of culmination point with this full moon in that second house of your finances and resources. A peak moment, maybe the beginning of an end of something, perhaps the beginning of the end of an income stream, or perhaps you've been collecting some kind of resource and you reach a peak moment where you've done that. You've got the thing that you were seeking to get, and you've bought that new possession, whatever it is. Okay. And with that, there should be some kind of meaning, like maybe the thing that you bought is quite ethical, like it's been made locally, it's been handcrafted. It would be wonderful if we had a world where we were doing that more and it was more affordable as well. Okay. At the same time, from your eighth house, there is a light shining across. Okay, so the 8th house is for you, Scorpio, is Gemini, and the sun is in Gemini. And the 8th house is about your partner's resources, or it's about large amounts of money like retirement savings, taxes, inheritances, or shared resources with your partner as well. Okay, it can also be about, on a deeper level, your deep inner psychological layers. Okay, it's very esoteric, the 8th house, whereas the 2nd house is very much worldly and the tangible things that we have in the world. The 8th house is more about these hidden resources that we have within us, whether that is actually the quiet money that's sitting in the background or our underlying psychological layers and sense of power. Okay, so the sun is shining up that house of your sense of inner power and your partner's resources. It's shining it up, and Uranus is there bringing disruptive innovation. And Mercury is there as well. And the sun is shining a light directly across at the full moon in your 2nd house. So some information could come from the 8th house that helps you understand about your income and your resources and your possessions. Okay, so all the best for that, Scorpio, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. So there we go. That is all from me for this week. And remember, you can go back to earlier in the video to do the quiz. And you can also write a comment in the comments below about Sagittarius. I'll post a question below, and I will be choosing one person to have a very, very quick chart reading at the end of a future video, probably the next video, if I can get it done in time. Okay, so all the best, everyone. Enjoy that lucky and hardworking full moon that's coming up with the trine to Sagittarius, and I will be back in another video in future.